Cobra Kai fans, what is happening? Welcome back to Strike First Media. At long last, fans have been waiting so long, it seems, for the final trailer for Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 3, and we finally got it just this morning. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, when it released, I was very emotional. Beforehand, I was very, very nervous, but as soon as it dropped, I was in my feels. I can't deny that. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the trailer itself. So without wasting any more time, let's dive into my usual deep dive breakdown and see what we can uncover from the new footage that we got in this trailer. So first off, I will say that I love how they executed this as a final trailer and a proper send-off for the show. And mostly because they didn't include a whole lot of what happens in part 3. We didn't get a whole lot of new footage, but the stuff that they did show was definitely very, very interesting. Half of it was new footage, but the other half was just sort of reliving the entire events of the previous 6 seasons. And we literally see that within the first half of this trailer. We got to relive all those epic moments. And it was accompanied by a monologue from both Ralph Macchio and Billy Zabka, who of course played Johnny Lawrence, and Daniel LaRusso. And probably the best part about this final trailer is the theme song that they went with. They always go with an iconic 80s type of theme in the backgrounds of their trailers for a new season or installment of Cobra Kai. And this time around, they used You're the Best by Joe Esposito. And in the monologues, Ralph and Billy, or Daniel and Johnny, pretty much just talk about how they've been through so much, they've always been at each other's throats, but that it was also inevitable for them to eventually come together to join a bigger fight for a bigger cause. And as they begin to segue into the new footage that we see for part 3, they talk about how they need to face these new enemies to take them down once and for all. And to do that, they need to go back to where it all started. The All Valley Sports Arena. Some epic rapid-fire shots are then shown of our captains, Tori, Sam, Robby, the All Valley Sports Arena from the 80s in the 1984 All Valley tournament. Fast forward to now for the Sekai Taikai tournament in present day. And that's confirmation right there even more if we didn't have it already. The red mats are making a return. And our first proper scene that we see in this trailer is some dialogue between Daniel and Amanda at LaRusso Auto. And it seems like Amanda's really trying to console her husband here, because let's be real, Daniel is usually the type of person that takes things, especially of this nature, to the heart the most of all of our characters. And she says to him that she knows that things got out of control in Barcelona. Could Amanda be one of the driving forces to push Daniel into returning to the Sekai Taikai? That would definitely be a very interesting twist. We are then very suddenly reminded of those devastating events from Barcelona with Kwan's death, as it shows where exactly he's at now, and that's in a casket back in South Korea as it's been lit on fire, giving Kwan his proper send-off. We see Sensei Kim and Kreese in the background along with the rest of the South Korean students. However, we do not see Master Kim here. Perhaps he's on the other side, and heck, he may even be the person that actually lit the casket on fire. Daniel's then heard in a voiceover, seeming like he's responding to Amanda in that previous scene, saying, "A kid died. This wasn't just like a tournament loss or an unfortunate ending. Some kid lost his life." And when you see a guy like John Kreese here showing remorse, that's when you know it's a big deal. We then get another scene here of Daniel and his daughter Sam in their home dojo, and Sam's asking if the tournament's back on, and what is she even fighting for anymore. Sam, like her dad, in my opinion, I think she's going to be very hesitant to go back, because Sam, in my opinion, didn't really have a very good reason to compete in the Sekai Taikai in general. She really had to think long and hard about it, and she ultimately came up with closure. And if I were Sam, I would certainly see a death of another student and competitor as closure to not keep continuing fighting. But that's quickly debunked, as it looks like Sam's going to continue fighting in the Sekai Taikai, because clearly here in the next shot, she's at the Sekai Taikai, all geared up and ready to go with her captain's headband, and it looks like she has a look of, I don't even know what you'd call that. Is that an angry look, or is that like a I'm gonna kick your ass look? It definitely looks like Sam's in fighting mode here, so you can definitely expect her to be back on the mat. We then get a few more rapid fire shots, and we get an interesting one of Zara, as if you really slow down the footage, you can see that Zara is, I believe, holding nunchucks, or at least some sort of weapon. So that begs the question of, what exactly are they going to be redoing when they bring the Sekai Taikai back to the Valley? Because they're definitely going to be redoing at least semifinals, because not all of them were decided. And so now this leads me to believe that they're gonna redo the skills competition / weapons demonstration, because we see Zara on the mat with weapons doing some sort of combination or form. I definitely don't think they're starting over the whole dang tournament as a whole. I think that would be a little bit ridiculous in my opinion in terms of something for TV, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see for that. Two more familiar shots that we saw from just a few days ago of Robby and Johnny training and Tori training on her own at the track. We then cut back to Daniel and Sam talking in the dojo, and Daniel just doesn't have all the answers. At least he's being honest with her. Now the next part is one of my favorite parts in this entire trailer, and it's some classic Iron Dragons training scenes. We get a first look at Terry Silver in part 3, and he's with his dojo of the Iron Dragons, and we see Sensei Wolf and Axel with some hardcore training. We get a voiceover from the one and only Sensei Wolf saying, "They should fear you, and that if they don't, make them." And I want to point out, it's not only Sensei Wolf that's training Axel and Zara for their matches. The one and only owner, Terry Silver, stepping in to train them as well, which is absolutely bonkers. It looks like they're training with Eskrima, which, for those of you who don't know, in my opinion, it's like a combination between a bow staff and nunchucks. There are many sort of bow staff that goes one in each hand. And Axel is so strong that he actually snaps one of them in half that was being held by Terry Silver. This dude is stronger than we could have ever imagined. We then get some all new shots of Miguel and Robby together. It looks to me like Miguel's training Robby, and Robby's wearing a lot of protective padding, and it's kind of obvious to me what they're doing here. Miguel is clearly helping Robby condition his body for his fights against Axel, so he's prepared when Axel inevitably lands his very powerful punches and kicks on him, so he can eventually take more of them and continue fighting. And Miguel actually says some very encouraging things to Robby, saying that he knows he can beat Axel. And as we continue on, we get another glimpse of the fight between Robby and Axel at the All Valley, and it gives us a perfect example of why exactly Robby's wearing that padding. And like I said, he's conditioning his body because he's going to be taking a hell of a lot of shots from Axel in their fight. And right after Miguel seems to try to give Robby a confidence boost, Robby seems to be shutting it down completely, saying that he gave Axel everything he had last time, but it still wasn't enough. We then get to see a little bit of what's going on between Zara and Tori, and myself and the Kings of Pop Culture, during our reaction to the trailer, we all noticed something very, very interesting. It's very hard to notice and to catch, but right after the footage from part 2 between Zara and Tori, we see an all new bit from part 3 of Zara and Tori, and if you look all the way to the left very closely, you'll see Tori in her black gi, but also a tad bit of yellow towards the top. We know that Tori is going to be representing Cobra Kai in this tournament, specifically the Korean Cobra Kai, with or without her senseis of Sensei Kim and John Kreese. But does this yellow and black combination mean that Tori's gonna be suiting up and competing under Johnny Lawrence's Cobra Kai? The colors and what she's wearing steer me to believe that. Because if you compare that shot with the very next shot of Tori in her Korean Cobra Kai uniform, they're two completely different hairstyles, as in this shot with Zara, you can see that she has bangs present, whereas in the very next shot in her Korean Cobra Kai uniform, she's got the braids where her bangs usually would have been. So it seems in the beginning she's going to be back competing under John Kreese's Korean Cobra Kai, but it seems that maybe later on in the tournament she's going to be donning Cobra Kai from Johnny Lawrence's dojo. Next up, we see, from what I see, a little bit of a concerned Terry Silver. He's all suited up and looking like it's about to be go time back into the tournament, but he looks rather concerned. Could he not be as confident as we thought in his own Iron Dragons? Let's just hope he doesn't try and rig this damn tournament again. A Johnny Lawrence voiceover is then heard of "It doesn't matter what happened last time," and we see Miguel and Miguel only looking like he's storming the mat. Something must have happened for him to do this, obviously, but why isn't everyone else storming the mat? Is it to try and prevent another brawl? But specifically, why is Miguel the one to storm the mat here? Is it something that had to do with Robby on the mat? This is probably the shot that has one of the most questions I have for this trailer. Johnny then continues by saying, "It doesn't matter how many people are watching, let's show these assholes how we do things in the valley." Teams are then shown as they look to get ready for their matches of Axel and Robby. Miyagi-Do is shown, then Iron Dragons is shown, and then we see Axel and Robby take the mat. And what's important to notice in this shot is a very familiar type of figure here. the referee. And I know this is just a view of the referee's back, but he does bear a very striking resemblance to Daryl Vidal from the Karate Kid 1. And if you don't remember, Daryl Vidal was actually a competitor in the 1984 All-Valley tournament. He was beaten by Johnny Lawrence, and he's one of the very few legacy characters from the Karate Kid franchise that have yet to make a return in the Cobra Kai series. So let's say that this is Daryl Vidal here refereeing the final matches. Could the purpose of bringing in Daryl to prevent any funny business that may happen with, I don't know, someone rigging the tournament? That very well could be the case. It also could just be for fan service, but that seems just like one of those questions that's going to have to wait until release. And then probably one of fans' favorite moments from this trailer is of Shannon and Amanda is all decked out in her Miyagi-Do face paint, headband, and gi top, and screaming at Robby to get him and kick some ass. And this is very clearly a direct callback to Cobra Kai Season 1's All-Valley tournament, when Amanda said how much she got freaked out by karate moms while sitting next to Xander Stone's mom, who was covered in face paint, a gi, and a headband, and now she's doing the very same thing, which is just such a full circle moment and just such a cute thing. I love this. Some more pretty basic rapid fire shots of each Iron Dragons and Miyagi-Do. Axel and Robby are then shown. Not really much we can decipher there, but just some badass display of some of our best actors in this show. A little bit more of one of the most iconic shots in the show of Miguel and Johnny are then shown. Another callback to season 1. Myself and RJ were talking that we think it's very possible that this scene in the classic strip mall could actually be Miguel and Johnny's final scene in the show. And we think it very well also could be Miguel on his way to college and just stopping by to say one last goodbye to Johnny before he sends off for school. The familiar crane kick shot on the beach with Daniel and Johnny is then shown, and we also see a very interesting shot of Dimitri and Hawk in the Miyagi-Do dojo, looking like they're filming some sort of video. Could this be the Binary Brothers music video part 2? I think it very well could be the case. Another great shot of Johnny is then shown wearing a very cheesy tuxedo t-shirt. This is definitely teasing an impending wedding from Johnny and Carmen, although I sincerely hope this isn't what Johnny's planning on wearing to the wedding if a wedding is actually happening in part 3, but it's just classic Johnny and funny nonetheless. Directly after this shot, though, is actually a very interesting one. To a lot of people, this just seems like your basic Daniel LaRusso shot. But Daniel's definitely in a dojo here. You see the punching bag right behind him and probably some training equipment as well. But I've seen some people say that they think that this is Daniel talking to Johnny in the original Cobra Kai dojo from seasons 1 and 2. And this would also support the theory of Johnny reopening Cobra Kai in that original strip mall, and it would even further support the theory of Miguel paying Johnny a visit before he goes to college in that original strip mall, leading to the parallel of their conversation that they had all the way back in season 1, now taking place in part 3. Tori and Sam are surprisingly then shown fighting each other at an empty All-Valley arena. You can probably guess that this is definitely them training each other, but these two are set to actually have a fight together in the semifinal. Why would they be fighting behind closed doors with no one present if they're going to be actually fighting each other in the Seikai Taikai? Could the result of their match with one of them going to the final against Zara, could the other be helping the other train as they prepare for Zara? That very well could be the case too, but very interesting shot here. Just shows how far these two have really grown. And then probably the most wild shot of this entire trailer is of Gunther kicking Daryl, the All-Valley tournament announcer, right in the face. And I literally have zero context for this, so I don't even know what's going on. The closest thing is Daryl's probably arguing for the blue mats and Gunther's probably had enough. No, we're going back to the red mats. That's all I got for this scene. Another one of my favorite moments from the trailer, and one that really got me out of my seat, is that Bobby Brown is back. Finally, Johnny and Bobby reunite, and it looks like they're back in his church. I don't really know what they're talking about. Maybe Johnny's asking Bobby to officiate him and Carmen's wedding. But nonetheless, it's so great to see Bobby back. He's one of my favorite characters in the entire series, and especially in the Karate Kid 2. We still need a scene between Daniel and Bobby though. We then again see Johnny Lawrence's Cobra Kai stitched on the back of someone's gi as they're walking. This just further and further supports the theory that Johnny Lawrence is going to reopen his version of Cobra Kai. the writing's on the wall. There's just been so many like little breadcrumbs that have been left along the way to really support this, and this right here damn near confirms it. Johnny and Daniel are then seen cruising in Daniel LaRusso's yellow Ford Super Deluxe from Mr. Miyagi. Not too much here, it's just so great seeing these two cruising the streets of LA together. And then to cap it all off, it's with the absolute best shot in this trailer, and honestly could be the best shot in the entire series. It's of Johnny and Daniel, Rocky II style, rallying the city, all running behind them as they train, and this is just absolutely beautiful. It unfortunately did get leaked by a news media outlet a few months ago when they were actually filming this, but just to finally see it on screen and that it's actually out there, it's just so good to see. This is going to be the best end to a series that I can remember, and I absolutely cannot wait. But guys, that's going to do it for my entire full-fledged breakdown of the final trailer we'll ever get for Cobra Kai. And it's absolutely just insane talking and thinking about it right now that this is my last trailer breakdown that I'm doing for this show. It's so bittersweet, and I'm honestly feeling a little bit emotional right now. Don't mind me though. But guys, now it's time to have your say. Leave all your comments down below in this comment section. Let me know your entire thoughts on this trailer. What are your favorite moments? What are you most excited to see? Leave a like on the video if you got something out of today. If you didn't, change it to a dislike. Subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything when it comes to this magnificent series, as we're now less than 2 weeks away from its release. Guys, thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, Cobra Kai never dies.